Good morning and welcome to Valley Views. I'm your host, Glenn Edison. We're certainly glad to have you today. And as always, you can see our program on BTC Fiber's YouTube page as well as BTC Fiber's Channel 18. And today we have with us Eric Reed. He's the funeral director and embalmer at Standefer-Reed Funeral Home of Dunlap. So Eric, it's good to have you. Thank you for being with us today.
Good to be here.
First, I imagine one of the things I wanted to ask you is a lot of times when it comes to funerals, people don't plan on dying. They think about living. They don't.
Yes.
And so when that time comes, and it's a sad time, sometimes people are not ready for that, and they don't know what all goes on with that. So kind of help us out there.
Yes. There's a lot of decisions to be made that a lot of people don't realize until the situation presents itself, and you've got a short period of time also to make these decisions. And like I said, it's sometimes it's pretty stressful on families.
Right, because you a lot of times people don't realize the cost of things, and that sometimes takes them by surprise. And then they don't realize, like headstones and all the other information that you want. If they're a veteran, do you get the flag draped coffin and that type of thing, and all the little things that go into that. And so that's I know that's a big thing for cost. You go from in the cost. Do y'all work with one of the things I know, like the floral arrangement that goes on top of the casket? Do y'all work with? Or is that for the family to decide, or do y'all work with any of the floral companies?
That's
around?
generally for the family to decide, and what we generally do is we give them the local flower shop numbers and tell them to contact them, because along with like the funeral service alone, or like it is, there is a wide variety of things for floral arrangements that you can, so the flower shops know more about what to offer and the cost than I do. So I generally ask them to give them the local flower shop numbers and have them contact the flower shops.
Well, and also in a funeral arrangement, do you sit down with them? I'm sure you do, with the family, and say, or I guess you ask them what they want first and how they would like, and then you sit down and explain to them how things go, right?
Yes. Yeah, we sit down and we typically try to sit down and talk to the family and find out a lot about the person that's passed away, and things about their life and their interest and things, and kind of try to gear that service and visitation and everything towards that person and make it more personalized.
Right. Well, I know a lot of times now that with the electronic age, you have people that have the videos and things. Yes. of pictures and things that's being done, and people, and that's nice. I've seen that many times at many funerals, and that's kind of nice. You get to see things that you didn't know. Maybe if you didn't know the family and all their pictures you've seen, that's nice for everybody to see. Gives them a chance to reflect. If they knew the family, then they can go back and say, "Oh, I remember that time." That
exactly.
type of thing. Well, I know there's things now like the pre-planning. Do y'all offer services like that?
We sure do. And there's two typical types of pre-planning. You can do a pre-funded plan, which would be you would come down and set up and make arrangements to pay for your service. Or you can do, if you've already got existing insurance, you can come down and pick out merchandise as far as your casket and your vault and what type of service you want, or if you're doing cremation, what you want. And we would set it up in a file of what you came down and what you would like when something does happen. So you've got the funded and the non-funded.
Oh, okay. And so there's a lot of things to that, like picking out the casket you might want, the color and the type of casket.
Exactly.
Then just the funeral service itself. I've been to several, and they're all different, depending on what the people want, as far as prayers, who does the service, singing, or whatever. There's all kind of stuff that goes into that. And then, of course, now your service, of course, includes the burial and all that, and then the trip to the cemetery. There's a lot involved. And I guess now, I don't know if y'all reflect this now, but the cost of gas going up, I mean, that affects y'all as well.
Some, yes, it does, because, like I said, you have your trip to the cemetery, and then also you have, when somebody passes away, having to go pick them up there where they passed away. You've got some fuel charge there, but typically fuel's not a big issue because it's not a lot of travel. So
yeah.
It affects us some, but not a great deal.
And y'all pick up bodies, I guess, at hospitals and stuff. So sometimes it could be in Nashville, but it could be in Chattanooga.
Yes.
So that varies, I guess. Excuse me. Now, I guess it would be better for a family if they could do the pre-planning, get that kind of squared away before the price hits them all at once, wouldn't it?
Yes. If you're doing the pre-funding, which, with pre-funding you get that guarantee. But if you're not doing putting the money up front to do the funding to begin with, you typically don't get the guarantee with most funeral homes, because what it is you have the opportunity. If you do the funded up front, that count draws interest, and that's what takes care of your inflation cost of the years. Where if it's not paid up front, you can't really guarantee something, because 10 years down the road, 20 years, when something happens, that is going to be quite a bit increase.
Right, and you can't just give it away. I mean, that's just not. Other than that, what are some of the services that people might not know that you offer to the families?
Well, we also offer cremation services, and years ago, typically cremation was just you picked the person up, did the cremation, got the cremains back to the family, which that's quite often what we do. But there's different variations to cremation now that a lot of people don't. Options that you can take. You can do as much as have a full service like you would a traditional burial service, but instead of doing burial, you do cremation. That's an option. Or you can do some families opt to do. They'll do cremation, and then they'll do like a memorial service without the person there, and then some people do a visitation, a memorial visitation with just the person isn't there to view, but friends are welcome to come in and visit with the family, and so there are a lot of options with cremation that people didn't consider and think of years ago, but that's one of the things that
cremation's become more popular, hasn't it?
It's increased some in the past few years, a lot more than it was probably 20 years ago, but it's increased. Now,
do y'all do the cremating, or do y'all have to send your bodies off for that?
We use a crematory. It's not an in-house crematory, but we use a crematory at a different location.
Oh, okay. Now also, I guess on your part too, there's a lot of planning as far as getting with the police to have the escorts and to the cemetery and stuff like that.
Yes, and the people in this community are very fortunate here and Bledsoe County, and actually our Marion County also, that the police still do, the sheriff's department and the city are very helpful with doing the escorts. In your larger cities like Chattanooga, they don't even offer escorts anymore. So
oh, really?
So we're in a small town. You get a lot more service from your sheriff's department, and people don't realize that.
And I know here in the South, I've always I've grown up, I've always seen it in funeral processions. People move over to the side of the road, and and that's not always the case in other parts of the country.
No, and you can see it sometimes when we're in a funeral procession where you'll see somebody, and usually it's an out-of-state tag where they're not used to, where they kind of don't pull over, they just keep going, but it's not. Like I said, this local small town, it's still tradition that you and people more they respect the funeral procession and pull over. But like I said, a lot of the big cities and a lot of you get away from this area, they don't do that anymore. And some, like I said, most times if you see somebody passing, not pulling over, it's usually someone that's not generally from this area.
Well, I've seen in speaking of big cities, I've been in some big cities where really where they've had to have their own lights on, on their vehicles and stuff, just to let people know, and lights and flags, kind of give everybody, hey, we're coming, be careful. And I know that could be, like I say, in the bigger cities, that could be kind of dangerous sometimes if people. And sometimes you pull up on a funeral procession, you don't realize it's a procession till you get on it, and then, so you have to be careful as well. And y'all never had any trouble with that, have you, accident-wise or anything?
I've been around the funeral business ever since I can remember, and hung out at the funeral home ever since I can remember, and been on funerals with my dad. I've seen probably 3 incidents. Seen one wreck. We were actually bringing a funeral procession from I was up at our Putnam-Reed at our location in Pikeville. I'd gone up there to work, and we were coming back down 127 and seen a wreck.
Oh.
That somebody pulled over and somebody was coming through there and
just didn't pay attention.
Wasn't paying any attention, but fortunately no one was hurt, and that was I was thankful for that.
Yeah, that's that's kind of important. Now I noticed too at some of the recent funerals that I've been at, there's now more people that donate than give flowers.
You have a lot of people in this area that do that. They do a lot. They give to your local charitable organizations instead of flowers, but you still have a lot of people that do flowers. But that's another option that people have started doing also. Instead of flowers, they do charitable donations.
Well, and that's good because it gives that person an opportunity to do something good for a charitable organization, but they're also doing it for that family.
Exactly.
And do the families get a notice as to who does the donations?
Yes. We have a memorial board, and generally what we do is if someone's given, they can write down a card. If there's certain organizations we've got pre-printed cards that has the organization's name on it, and they can just put their name and address and post it on our memorial board there out in the hallway there. And then if there's not a card, we don't have a card for it, we've got some general cards that you can write the organization that you're making the donation to and pin it to the board. And we give those cards to the family.
Well, that's good because I know that I've seen a lot of those at a lot of the funerals I've been to where the people give, and that's a good thing.
And especially now especially with COVID and everything, and a lot of your organizations a lot of the fundraisers they were doing to raise money to help people with,
they had to stop.
They've had to stop, and so this is a good way for them to help them out too. In this time where they've had a pretty hard time during COVID.
Well, I hadn't really thought about the COVID, but yeah, that's right. You're right. It's even our local cancer network, it affected them from even having their HEAL shows, so that hurt them, and so maybe they can get that squared away next year. I hope. Well, if I know, I guess I can always call you if someone needed your services, or if they wanted to sit down with you and pre-plan. How do they get in touch with you?
All they've got to do is give us a call. They can reach us. They can reach me at our Dunlap location, and the phone number there is 423-949-2325, and call. I'm generally there every day through the week. Sometimes I might have to work at one of the other locations if we're short-handed in staff. But I'm generally there every day, and we can just schedule appointment time, what's convenient for you, and we'll.
Well, I know you're talking about having to work at other locations. I know at one time there was a time where y'all had several funerals. I think it was back when Winfred Smith had passed away, and you had other bodies at your Whitwell location, and y'all were pretty busy then.
Yes, yeah. Of course. things have kind of picked up. The death rate has kind of picked up, but part of it has been the baby boomers are getting at the age. They're the older baby boomers are in their early to mid 70s, so that's they're so and they've been talking about this in the funeral industry for quite a few years, that this was fixing to happen, that the death rate was fixing to increase because of the baby boomers, and right now we're kind of seeing a result of the results of that right there.
And do you see, maybe this is a question you can't answer, I don't know, but do you see in the deaths that you do you see a rise in people that are, and when I say not healthy, I don't mean people that have diseases or something, like heart disease or cancer, but people that are just not in good health anymore and don't eat right, exercise right, and I'm one of them.
Well, I don't see that it's really a big, huge increase in that. It's pretty much the way it's kind of been through the years.
Through the years, yeah. Now, you have a social media, right, where people can go on
yes,
and look at your obituaries and stuff?
We sure do. We have a website, and then also we have a Facebook page also.
Well, that's good, because I know I've used it before to find out visitation times, funeral times, and it's always nice to read the obituaries that are there, and that's good for people, because that's really a recent thing, really, social media for the funeral home.
Yes.
And I remember too, when I was growing up, and you probably do too, used to, the bodies would be at their homes.
Yes.
Kind of lay in state at the homes before they go to the funeral home.
Well, I can remember, probably the last one, it's probably been about 10, 12 years ago. We took a gentleman back home. The family asked, can we do that? I said, sure, which is very rare now.
Yeah.
That's it's not very common like it used to be years ago. That was very common.
Yes, I remember growing up, and I'd see these quiet funeral, signs on the road, and you'd have to be careful, and of course I wouldn't try to be loud anyway, but that's something you don't see anymore, and things, I guess, as time goes over, and I imagine probably 20 years down the road, times will change again. There'll be a lot of other things going on.
And a lot of people don't realize, talking about being home, and a lot of the things that people do at the funeral home, what the initial reasons for them doing them. Like, most people expect coffee at the funeral home.
Yeah.
And the reason for that was when people took people back home, they stayed up all night. Yeah. So the coffee helps them stay up all night.
Yeah.
And the flowers, people don't realize what the significance of the flowers were to begin with. Back years ago, before the Civil War, when embalming wasn't very prevalent, embalming started that during the Civil War time. The flowers were used
to cover the smell.
Yes, and there's a lot of traditions that we follow today that people don't realize where they started from. And it's very interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that. That's interesting to know that, because, but I can understand all that, and so that's interesting. And like I say, I guess things will change as time goes. Now, do y'all have any? I guess y'all are still there. Y'all do sell the monuments.
Yes,
right?
We do. I sell monuments, and we do it all well. I sell monuments here at our location at Dunlap and Whitwell, and then also at Pike.
Now, do y'all do the engraving, or
no?
You send it off?
I actually sell through a company.
So you just have the samples there, and then you
order it. Families can come in and look and pick out what they would like, the design they would like, and then they can order it. I can order it.
Oh, okay. And I know sometimes I've known, even in my own family, when my dad passed away, it took them some time to get the headstone, and then it took them time to get it set up, because they had to wait on some of the weather and everything to get it right, because you don't want it sinking.
And again, right now, of course, with with everything. Since COVID, used to the company that I sell monuments for, they would say 4 to 6 weeks. Now they're telling me to tell everybody 3 to 6 months.
Really?
Because
materials
they're having such a hard time getting in
their supplies.
Their supplies, yes.
Wow.
And stone from the quarries.
Yeah.
And it's just.
That's sad. But it's something you have to deal with, you know, and, you know. Well, is there anything we've left out that you want to mention that maybe we need to mention?
Not that I know of.
Well, again, give them that number that they can reach you.
They can reach me at the Dunlap location. That number is 423-949-2325.
Well, good. And Eric, it was good to have you today, and I appreciate you being with us. And again, folks, you can see this program on BTC Fiber's YouTube page as well as BTC Fiber's Channel 18. And until next time, have a good day. Hey everybody, this is Glenn Edison from Valley Views. We appreciate you watching our shows, and we would like for you to like, share, and follow us on Facebook, as well as like and subscribe to our YouTube page.
Brought to you by Bledsoe Telephone Cooperative, your full-service telecommunications provider right here in the Sequatchie Valley.